State Representative Alan Seabaugh and former State Senator Robert Adley. So I think we'll both agree, we can all agree that Adley, when John Bell talks about fiscal cliff, the plan is to spend more than we actually have.
No.
No?
No. That's where Alan is so very, very wrong. Alan, again, has to, and now he voted no, so I get it. I understand where he is. But the truth is the entire legislature voted to put this temporary penny on the people of Louisiana. That was an increase in a tax. It was. The legislature did that because they had a temporary, they thought, shortfall of $2 billion. Mm-hmm. But now that goes off this year.
Yep.
So now you're left with this $1 billion cliff. Now, Alan says that they passed it temporarily, that you voted against. You didn't pass it under any circumstances. He says that the others, and what he thought they were thinking was that they passed it because they could go find more cuts. That's absolutely not true.
Well, Mr. Robert, what's the solution to the cliff?
Bear with me. The legislature themselves did a very good thing. When they passed that temporary tax, they also passed the creation of a committee made up of professional people to go spend an entire year to put together what was needed to reform Louisiana's tax structure. The legislature asked for that. Now they have met, they've come back, and they've made all of these recommendations. The governor has adopted any of them that the legislature wants to pass. They are the legislative ideas. Now, I understand you didn't vote for the budget to begin with, and you're not going to vote for any of this either. But all of those other people who voted for the temporary measure, pending this report, they now have that report. And so everything that you're seeing coming from the governor is coming as a result of that committee created by the legislature. And the governor has said, whatever you want to pass, it's okay with me, but we need to structurally
Excuse me, gentlemen,
fix this place.
we are short on time in the hour. Okay, Mr. Allen, and then Robert, to wrap up, if there's not enough money, or we're going to spend more than we got, you can define it, and we've discussed that for an hour. How do we fix the problem?
We've got to cut. We have two choices. I mean, it's a twofold problem. You can raise taxes and give the governor what he wants, or you can find spending cuts, or you can do some combination of the two.
But much is protected. That's the problem.
I agree, the discretion, and that's one of the things I think we do agree about, that too much of it's protected. There was a pretty good bill last year to try to undedicate some of that, and we couldn't get any traction with it. I do agree. We've actually found something that we agree on, the committee and the recommendations that they made. But the problem is that it's a twofold problem. There's revenue, which the committee addressed, but they were also supposed to address spending cuts. And they didn't. They made a couple of references to it, but so far half of the equation of whether it's taxes, revenue, and spending, the governor only wants to talk about the spending side. The tax side. Give me more, give me more, give me more. We'll talk about spending once we figure out how much we've got. The rest of us, or the people on my side, are looking at it saying it's a two-pronged problem. You can't have a budget without the revenue and the spending. So since we're in this problem, and we have a fundamental disagreement in how to get out of it, and some of us don't want to raise taxes, and the governor doesn't want to cut spending. So the bottom line is we're both going to have to give a little bit, probably, and meet somewhere in the middle. Whether it's half of the penny, I have no idea. The reason everybody keeps going back to the penny is it's the one tax that has some Republican support.
Excuse me, Alan, pardon me. Robert, we got just about a minute to wrap up. What's the solution?
It's simple. He's not raising taxes. He is taking the highest sales tax in the country that the legislature passed and asking you to replace it. This is very simple, y'all. Everybody agrees. He had a $2 billion problem when he came in office. To replace that temporary tax is $1 billion. The only other way you solve the other billion was that he cut that other billion. That's a fact.
It's not
all
fact.
He's asking.
He
Excuse me. Yes, he did. And I gave you the list a minute ago. And I'm going to tell you this, Alan. I sit in that office a lot, and I meet with our colleagues in the House, and I've never seen your smiling face there. I've never seen you put up one single bill to reform budgets in this state. I've never seen you put up one bill to reform taxes in this state. None.
Then you had
and Alan, wait a minute now. Alan, and you vote, Alan, give me my clothes. And you vote against everything. That's easy
No, I vote against
politics.
everything
That's
bad.
easy politics. And that's demagoguery to its worst degree. It will not solve the problem. The solution, these things that this committee came out of, that the legislature asked for, that the legislature themselves asked for, are basically exactly the same things that came out of a very similar committee in 1988 under Buddy Roemer.
We're going to get cut off real quick,
The
Alan.
structure has to change.
Real quick.
I agree. The structure has to change, and the problem is, I mean, Mr. Adley has been there since the 70s. He's the poster boy for why we needed term limits. I mean, the fact of the matter is, we've been going down the road the wrong way for 40-something years. It's time we did something different. We, the young folks in the House Republican caucus, are trying to change and get us out of this cycle of having the same old problem every year.
Pardon me,
We got-
gentlemen.
Now, listen, I
Apologies.
will
Gotta
say
go.
this. You have to notice one thing in all of these
We're gonna
comments.
get cut off by the
never,
network.
Senator Robert
never
Adley,
did he give you one
Representative
specific
Alan Seabaugh,
cut.
traffic
He has
update.
never
Here's
cut
Ruben.
anything.